Okay, we're live, I think. Okay, let's begin. So, namaste, good evening, and good morning, everyone, from wherever you're watching us. I'm your moderator for this session, Vivek Dostapa, Program Coordinator and Research Associate at NICE. And before we start, I would like to quickly introduce NICE. NICE is an independent, apolitical, and non-partisan think tank based in Nepal, which believes in freedom, democracy, and a world free from conflict. I would like to welcome you all to a very special session that we have today, titled French Approach to AI and Security Strategies. And for this very special session, we have Tsiporah Fried, who is a distinguished expert in military strategy with over 15 years of experience. She currently serves as senior advisor to the vice chairman of the French Joint Chief of Staff, where she leads on defense innovation, emerging military technologies, French defense policies, and the war economy and industry. In her role, Ms. Fried conducts comprehensive assessments of global strategic environments and military capabilities. She leads multidisciplinary teams to forecast future military scenarios and develop strategies to counter emerging threats. She is also a key actor in international military cooperation and steering strategic dialogues between France and the United States, France and NATO, France and other allies. Her notable achievements include establishing a wargaming capacity for the French Joint Staff and initiating NATO's wargaming initiative, which is now a flagship NATO event, and piloting the Joint Staff's AI task force, contributing to France's defense AI strategy. Previously, Ms. Fried was a senior auditor at the Cour des Comptes, where she specialized in budget oversight of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and conducted major audits of the Foreign Affairs and Justice Departments. She has also held senior positions in the French Navy staff, serving as political advisor to the French Chief of Navy and leading strategic bilateral talks with the US, UK, and Indian navies. And in recognition of her services, she was awarded the Medal of Chevalier, Knight of the National Award of Merit, and the Medal for Voluntary Service as a Navy Reserve Officer. And she's a graduate of the prestigious École Nationale d'Administration, Sango class, alongside President Emmanuel Macron. She also holds an MA in political science and a degree in Russian language and civilization from INALCO. Beyond her official duties, Mrs. Fried is editor in chief of the ENA Alumni Review, president of the club ENA Navy, and a member of the German Marshall Fund Strategic Committee. So thank you so much for gracing us with your presence today, madam. I will request you to make your remarks, and then we will follow up with questions and answers. And in the meantime, whatever questions our participants may have, I would like to request them to drop them in the chat box, and I will ask them in the Q&A session. So I would like to hand over the floor to you.
Thank you very much. First, I want to thank you for this invitation. I'm honored to speak in front of you, and I'm very impressed by the work you are doing. And I really thank you for inviting me. I just want to remind, especially if among you there are more engineers and expert in technology, that I'm not an engineer. I'm a senior advisor and a generalist. So I explore topics. I try to find the keys for understanding those topics that I think relevant for our defense. And that's my job for the vice chairman. And that's how I came to AI in 2018, because that was, I would say, in the sector. It was starting to make the buzz, if I can say, but in defense and especially in the French ministry, it was very hard to find. So I decided to explore, and that's why I started this task force with other services to be able to reach a common understanding of what was AI, what was at stake, what were the challenges, what opportunities we could seek through AI, and how we could work with our allies on AI. So I just want to introduce my speech with a few comments. I would ask first a question that was raised by Admiral Vendier, who is the current Supreme Allied Commander for Transformation, SACTI, based in Norfolk for NATO. So he asked what are the common points between a F-35 fighter jet, a Tesla, and Facebook? Well, I'll give you the response because I have the floor now. It's lines of code. The American craft contains 25 million lines of code. Elon Musk electric car has 10 million, and the social networks algorithm counts 50 million. And I would say this is the way you have to see the upcoming revolution in defense. It's not weapons or arms systems that count, it's the software and the applications that we can have. And behind the software and this application, there is the revelation of data. And this is why it is so important and why it is so game-changing. It's a revolution based on AI, but not only. I think what we are looking for is a kind of explosion of new capabilities enabled by three key parameters: computing power in development and raising, connection speeds, and new application features. And all these are enabled by AI. This is how I will define the global stake of AI in this revolution. Just to come back to the past revolution, what we call the revolution in military capacities, we had weapons and command systems that had been designed and built around the concept of network-centric warfare. And this concept was really fed by telecommunication progress improvements, especially satellites communication, standardization of computing, and precise positioning tools like GPS, still coming from the civil sectors. And with these technologies, we had an acceleration in the decision-making loop. And at the same time, we had the increased power of miniaturization of processors that have led somehow to the automation of some operator task. And with this evolution, we could see that there is a reduced number of crew members required on aircraft, on ships, on tactical command posts. And if I take the example, for example, of the frigate that striked Houthi suicide drones in the Red Sea in December, frigate Languedoc, the frigate Languedoc operated with a crew of 110 men. And 30 years ago, the same ship would have operated with 250 sailors. So this is the difference. And now it's just what I'm talking is just about the past, because what we are looking at is on the other hand, it's the tendencies of a major growing in size of the growing of information, of workflow, and this growing of information and data is slowing down our decision-making process. And this is why we need this AI revolution today, because if there are major improvements that have been made with the network-centric concept and what I explained before, we are now entering a new world of technology, a new world of warfighting that requires to exploit this huge amount of data, and no human brain can do that. And we are going from network-centric warfare to data-centric warfare. And this is the big challenge of this revolution. So that was my introduction, and it was a little long, but it's just to explain where we are coming from and where we are going to. About French strategy in AI. So just let me tell you that there was a national AI strategy that was defined in 2017 by President Macron at national level, so civilian mostly. But the artificial intelligence strategy at the Ministry of Armed Forces has been launched in the work on the AI strategy has been launched in 2018, and I was honored to be a part of the team that defined it. Today, we have two strategies. One in 2018 that I contributed to, and another one that was released in 2024. There is a continuity in those strategies, but the first one, I would say, helped to bring AI to the forefront as a key topic. And I can tell you it was very difficult to convince the leadership of what AI could bring and what kind of game changer AI would be. So that was really the purpose of this first strategy. The second one was about more what we want to achieve, what ambitions we had for our AI defense, and how we could operationalize AI for the benefit of our forces. So I would say we managed to build a fertile ground for AI and develop numerous use cases. Currently, we have 300 use cases with very, very different kind of AI. And I must insist on the fact that when we talk of AI, we make a mistake. We should talk of AIs, different artificial intelligence. There are numerous artificial intelligence, not one. And each of these AI is defined by the set of data that feed it, the goal that we want for this AI, and of course the kind of algorithm development that we define this AI, that we build this AI. So what I would say is that AI is now a knowledge as a coming revolution and necessary revolution for our forces to maintain our operational superiority. If we don't get AI, I would say in the future, there will be a huge gap between the armed forces, the military forces that will work with AI and the others that won't have integrated AI that will be left behind. And because there is, I would say, three keys for AI. It's speed, connection, and integration. So about the French strategy, I could develop this more, but I prefer not to. I prefer maybe to have your question. But I would say there is one maybe important thing that you have to have in mind is that we decided to set up an agency dedicated to AI. This is a new agency that was created in 2024. And the head of the agency is an armament engineer who has been in a very important job in a very important function position in Google, and it's Bertrand Rompierre. So you can really if you need other contacts, I will of course let you know about Bertrand Rompierre as a contact email and also his colleagues that are some of them direct colleague of mine and even friends. So oh, I just have something with my I don't know what's happening. Okay, did you hear me? You still hear me? Because I had a message that the language was not. Yes.
There was no disturbance. It was everything.
Okay. Okay, that was on my. That's a problem of technology. Thank you. So, what is AMIAD? AMIAD, Agence Ministérielle de la Défense, Defense AI Ministerial Agency, which is a new tool for developing AI. AMIAD has represent the ministry ambition in AI. So we have one very big ambition. It's to be the first European leader on defense AI. That's our ambition, and the third in the world. So coming between the US and China, it's quite an ambition. If you don't have ambition, you're not doing anything. So, but beside that, in fact, I would say it's a much more pragmatic ambitions. AMIAD, the first steps is about launching launching use case, launching reflections that has an immediate delivery effect. And that's it. And we need to first leverage what the industry, what the civil companies already does well in AI, and pushing them further and giving them also the defense touch, which I will talk about later when we will be talking about sovereignty and about protection of our data, which is very important in the case of defense. And I'm sorry, because I told you, Bex, that I would just introduce my speech with the difference I made between defense and security, national security. I'm focusing really on defense and military affairs, military topics. I think AI in defense is quite different in AI in national security. And I would say one of the main difference is about ethics. In defense, I deeply think that AI will give more ethical posture to our decisions because of the targeting, because of the precision, because of the capacity to respond, ethical for our adversaries, but ethical also for our own forces that would be much more protected. Whereas in national security, you have really ethical questions. I never say AI is about ethics because AI is a technological tool, a neutral tool. Ethics is about the humans that are going to use it. And I would take the example of China, facial recognition, and the implication of what means national security, because you can really implement it very far away from the notion of national security. What is an enemy of the nation? And you know the Chinese system, and you understand me, I'm sure, about what I'm saying. So this is why I'm sticking to defense, which is I would say, my area of competence. And I distinct, even if defense, of course, participate strongly to national security, of course, but civilian national security is something else. So I'm coming back to the AMIAD, and I'm sorry for this little diversion. The roadmap of AMIAD is first focusing on equipping AMIAD itself to fulfill the minister ambition. So this includes design and deployment platforms, acquiring computing resources, and delivering initial basic use case to provide operational value right away. One of the examples is the the internal model of language language model that we have developed for the minister, which is called Genial, and which is really a protected system. And this is I would say is down and high, because it is protected. When you go on this LLM, you can ask anything. I would not ask the same questions in a LLM like ChatGPT or Grok, or even more DeepSeek. I would not ask the question because I know that my data is being under surveillance or is being memorized. So the questions, and the more questions I ask, the more they can define my profile. So we needed an internal LLM which is specific to defense. And this was created a few years ago and implemented and developed by Amiad, and also by the Joint Staff Internal Lab, which works also with Amiad. But I will tell you, maybe I'm not going to the organization of Amiad, but Amiad will have 300 people working for it. We're still in the process of recruiting them, but Amiad will work with services, and it doesn't mean that the services won't develop their own use case. It's just that Amiad will help to support those use case, and will help to give the computing services for the armed services. So when we talk about military AI, what comes to mind, I don't know if that's your case, but usually when I talk with civilian about AI, oh, that's Terminator, the robot killer. I think we are far from it. We are far from it. It doesn't mean that we are not going to reach that point one day, but we are far from it, even if autonomous weapon development is one of the key orientation of AI and raise a certain number of problems. But in fact, it's a more modest and less, I would say, phantasmatic vision of AI. It's really to address everyday AI with developing the large language models, but also all the AIs that have potential. The AI itself, which is finally a very huge capacities of bringing probabilities. It's a calculation system that's nothing else. It has no feeling, no conscience, etc. It just calculates with the amount of data given, and gives the results based on probabilities. And but so we are also trying to focus on AI for operation, AI for everyday administration, AI for decision-making, operations command, and situational awareness, and AI in counter-drone operations. One of the use cases we have developed, and it's really the field of, it's for example, it's not them, it's a classical, I would say, AI, is, have you heard about the golden ear in a submarine? It's
No.
it's a human capacity of detection of voice under the sea. So you have some very specific people that are skilled in that, and I can tell you I'm not, because I'm half deaf. And those people, they can the submarine. I don't know if you had the chance to board the submarine. I had boarded several times for very missions, but so the silence, it's total silence, and the goal there, they are here to listen to the noise of the sea, and to identify any noise that would not be natural. And so we have developed an AI system that would complete the golden ears to analyze very quickly all the upcoming noises. So it's a very useful tool. This is one of our use cases, for example. What I would just want to say also is that AI in itself, it's not the AI that count, is what AI can provide in terms of efficiency and performance in a very reduced time frame. This is and this is what we are focused on, is how we can improve our performances by integrating AI in our systems. And LLMs is very interesting, and it's a key milestone in the evolution, but because it is its capacity to produce models capable of interpreting semantics of human language. So LLMs will be a key for what we call the decision-making process. I don't know if you have heard about this term OODA. OODA is the loop for the operational loop. It's observation, orientation, decision, and act. And it was a concept that was developed a few years ago, but by, I think it's an American military that developed. My memory is just so this concept, observation. Then you have AI that will help you to identify what you can observe with the human eye usually. So all this, when you say observation, is how you feed your intelligence. Observation is you identify the threat, you identify the risk. So it's really intelligence requirement. And this is where AI is very capable of analyzing any kind of document, from satellite observation, from all the captors, from document, words, document, graphic document, maps, etc., etc. So observation without AI, I think it will be very difficult in the future if you don't have AI to help you in observation. Then orientation. In orientation, it means that you're going to exploit all the documents you have deal with in observation, and orientation will be really, I would say, improved by the LLMs and the capacity of asking the right question. So how you prompt your AI, okay, I have observed this, and what kind of orientation that should give me to the next step, which is the decision process. And this decision process, I would say, there will be AI to help the decision process, but what is the French position right now is that the decision making is always human. We can be helped with AI, but the decision will be human, and especially when it is a decision to target it, when it is a lethal decision that will have the intention of killing. We will discuss later because of the evolution and the evolution of technology, which raise also questions. But for now, this decision belongs to human. And then you have the last, it's the action. And in this action, you have AI again, because it's the whole operational thing. It's targeting, precision of targeting, supply chain, logistics, human resource, preparation of and training, simulation, wargaming, etc. And all this will need AI. So that's, I would say, we are working on this loop to be able to acquire the AIs that will help us to improve the OODA loop. I I don't know if it's sufficient. You will ask me question about French defense strategy if you need. I'm going maybe to the next question, or maybe Vivek, do you want to shift? I'm maybe too long now.
Maybe you can go on for maybe 5 minutes and you can quickly wrap it up, like your
Okay,
remarks, and then
so
we'll move to audience Q&A. Yes.
yeah, I would like to you asked me the question of NATO developing in AI. So I followed NATO's first move on AI strategy, and there is a strategy that was adopted in 2021, AI strategy, and it is still, I would say, in the phase of implementation. NATO AI strategy is really, I would say, that the same goal, but applying to 32 nations. So this is a huge challenge, is how you make 32 nations agree on your strategy, on your goal, on the model that you're going to use, etc., etc. For example, what you see is that the operational command of NATO has chosen the Maven system to be integrated in the command and control systems of NATO. Maven system has been developed by Palantir, and it raised the question, so how are we going to be interoperable with this system? How are we going to share the data? What data are we going to share with NATO and in this system? So that's, I would say, that all the questions that are now that have been raised, and I don't think that we have the answers yet. We're still thinking of it. There are huge issues of sovereignty, but also issues of capacity of integration. Because behind AI, you have hardware and softwares, and not all the countries have the same range of hardware and software. So there is an issue of standardization. So I'm not going to I'm not going to develop more on NATO AI strategy, because I think the point for NATO is really to develop the multi-domain operation system, the resilience of the alliance, the capacity of deterrence of the alliance. So that's the main keys, and that's where you will have AI into those developments. So you're coming from a point of view where you think AI is a focus, but in fact the focus is really what you want to achieve. So how are you going to deal with a multi-domain operation? How will a submarine will talk to a fighter jet, or will talk to special forces deployed on land? And this is multi-domain operations, and the connectivity of all the operational equipments, operational weapons that are deployed on a theater of operation at what time. And multi-domain operation is one thing. Deterrence is the other thing. Deterrence and strategic signaling and informational warfare, cyber warfare. How are you going to face those problems? And informational warfare, for example, is very interesting, because it come back to your question on national security. How we deal with external or foreign operations on our territories in terms of information. And you have seen that I don't know if you have seen that there were many Russian operations and Chinese too, through the creation of multiple bots that would saturate social network to be able to give their propaganda, pro-Russian, pro-China narratives. How do you counter that? And you counter that through AI to first to identify where are those bots, and how do you create counter narratives, things like that. So this is also, I would say, it's part of the cyber information, cyber operation, informational warfare, and resilience. That's and I stopped that for NATO, and you will see that we have the same questions for each nation, in fact. And the thing is that NATO is here to suggest and to build a standardized system that will help countries that don't have the capacity to develop their own system, and that will help us to work together with more speed, with more harmony, I would say, and with a larger set of data. So how I will conclude with what are the key challenges for us for AI? I could develop a list, but I have chosen maybe to focus on 5 key areas that I want to share with you. The first one is the rapidly evolution of the technology. You can see that each week you have a new version of ChatGPT, of DeepSeek, or whatever. So the AI systems are gaining increasingly advanced reasoning abilities, different applications, and different and numerous capabilities. So we have to follow that. And the civil sector is leading here. So for us, because we want to integrate some capabilities from the civil sector, we have to attract them for defense. But as you understand, there are some counterparts that are not very suitable for some from those civil companies, especially in terms of financial rentability or ownership of capacity of selling your production to others. So this evolving capacity of AI is a real challenge for us, and we have to adapt. The second is the issue of the model size, and we face a very strong need to limit our resource consumption, especially in energy. The energy issue is key to the AI development, even in the civilian sector. So it means that we must develop highly capable models that will be able to operate with a minimum of resource use. Then the third challenge is, I would say, one of our biggest challenge for the ministry is the trust in the system integrated AI and the capacity of adoption by the user. And the capacity of adoption is really how the user will see AI and how it will be able to deal with, to exploit it really in the most efficient way. And you can see that even when you talk about individuals, sometimes they're struggling with AI because they think it's like a Google research motor when it is much more. But how we can exploit, but also how the organization will deal with AI. When we started to digitalize, and we are still in the process of digitalizing, the first thing we do is reproduce the same processes, but adding the digital vision. So what I say is that, for example, you have a form to fill for your vacation, for your mission, etc. Digitalization will mean that you will have the mail with a form, but you have to print it, you have to scan it, and you have to send it by mail. So this is not the point. Digitalization is that you create a link that will allow you to fill online, to sign online, and it will feed the system. So for AI, it's the same. If we are going to reproduce the same system, and if we don't change our organization, and this has been a huge challenge for armies at every period, I would say. And unfortunately, the biggest and the quickest changes happen in during wars. And I hope that we are not going to need a war to change our organization. But this has to be done. We need to think of a very particular organization that will make AI efficient. The fourth challenge I talk about is really how we going to attract companies that are not defense oriented to work with. We need to demonstrate that we are a credible client, which is not always the case with administration that pay late, that is not that has no recognition, etc., etc. But we need to do that. And the fifth, which is very important, is how are we going to work with allies? How are we going to keep our interoperability to be able to be connected, to work together? And this is a huge challenge, and I'm working on it on a bilateral terms with the US, for example. And we're not talking about AI. We're talking about how we share our data. How we share our data. And about AI, I would add something. The challenge is cultural, because AI, and especially when we talk about model of language, AI is based on the same structure of our language. And if AI, for example, is only fed by, for example, English informations, English documents, English culture, etc., we will lose our own mindset. And we can think of that for the whole country, for our literature, the domain of art, etc. But for us, it's also, I mean, for us in the military field, it's also the question of doctrines. We have specific doctrines that are not the same than the other countries. We have, well, I would say our doctrines are also standardized by NATO, but still, and we have operational experiences that other countries don't have. So how can we keep this specificity, and what do we have to give up to be able to operate with our allies? And I would stop there. I had written some different very, very other topics that I wanted to share with you, but I'm too long. And I think we have to stop here.
Thank you, ma'am. It has been a very interesting session. Now we'll move on to the question and answer session. I would request all the participants to leave their questions in the chat box. And what I noticed, ma'am, is that there have been a lot of questions related to France's commitment to keeping human on the loop while using AI. So I'll try to club all these questions together and ask you at once. I think there are 3 or 4 questions related to this. So France has consistently emphasized the importance of maintaining meaningful human control over autonomous systems. And it was most recently reaffirmed in the 2025 Paris Declaration, with over 30 countries now calling for legally binding frameworks for the lethal autonomous weapons, or we call it as laws. So the question goes, how does France intend to translate these commitments into field protocols, especially in gray zone operations or hybrid conflict theaters like the Sahel or the Eastern Europe?
Well, I would say first, we were one of the first to raise that question at the United Nations, and we adopted the resolution on the SALA system, arm system for lethal. I just don't remember how SALA, and just sorry, I just don't remember what all this is declined. But just to answer your question, we have an ethical committee that has worked on the question, and this in the strategy, in the first AI strategy, the minister has announced very clearly that there will not be lethal decisions where the human responsibility is not implicated. The question is not simple. Is not simple because you have the difference between automaticity and autonomous systems. And if you take some, for example, missile defense is to be efficient. There is no time for the human in the loop. There is no time to check with a human decision. If you are attacked, if you have an attack from missile, it will release immediately the counter missile to be able. So, but it's not autonomous, it's automaticity with the sensors. But so you see, it can be sometimes we say in French, the devil is hidden in the details. So, but the question is much more for the future. I've seen that one of the questions was the next generation defense or war fighting. It's certain that the pace of war is changing completely. And one of the great challenges is how we will be able, in this acceleration, how we will be able to keep the human in the loop, and how we can keep the human in the loop with not being at disadvantage by adversaries that will have less ethical problems that we have. So I would say I will give you a response that maybe will not satisfy you, but in these areas, we have to keep it very pragmatic. We have to see how those things evolve. We have already, when you take the experience, the operational experience, lessons learned from Ukraine, you see that, for example, drones are now a key component of the battlefield, and it's still there is no AI, there is no swarm of drones guided by an AI, but in very short term, it won't be able to operate or to pilot a high level of quantity of drones without an AI, and without giving the AI the capacity of autonomous decision on drones. So it could be just surveillance, but as you know, drones are becoming weapons in themselves. So this is a question: how far we can go? How will be? For now, we're going to a human-machine teaming that seems quite balanced. But in the future, will there be a reverse of this relationship? More AI, less human? This is really a question that we have to ask ourselves, and this is also the question of the trust, because AI is not. It's not. Again, it has no conscience. AI will be fed with data. So the question is how clear, how reliable is our data, and also the algorithm. And behind that is there any foreign action that would destroy or that would poison our data or algorithm? So how can we trust an AI that we will be programmed to lead to be the key of autonomous systems? I'm sorry, it's not a very strong answer. For now, I just can tell, and if you have to remember something, is that France is opposed to any lethal decision that would not come from a human decision.
No, I think it's okay, ma'am, because when asking questions and answering, I think we have to keep in mind that this is a rapidly developing field. So we cannot say for sure and anticipate what's going to happen in the future right now. So coming along the same lines, I have another question from the chat box. So you mentioned that decision making, especially of lethal nature, are human according to French policy. So, however, do you think there is a risk of partial information provided by large language models, AI large language models, which can influence the human making the decision? So the
Well,
question is like, do you
no,
think the
the question
human
is,
influenced by the,
yes,
yeah.
yes, and this is, I think, one of the great challenge in training. And we have to train, but I think you have the same problem in the civil society, especially with our children, because they are now they're going to do all their homework with AI. So you just ask the question and you have the homework done, and it's a little the same, I would say, for our leaders at a different level and with different kind of consequences for the question asked. But yes, of course, we're going to be influenced by AI, and this is why AI requires not lazy brains, but on the contrary, very trained and very capable of critics of human brain. We have to be aware that we will be, when I use AI, I can tell you I use AI, but when I use AI, for example, for certain questions, I was used to train Genial, this our AI LLM, our defense LLM. So I was in the team of training AI, and I can tell you that I was training the AI, and the AI trained me, in fact, because I saw that when I ask different kind of questions, the same question, but in a different way, the AI would respond differently. So my brain is absorbing this, and this is why training is one of the most important things to do. What will be the soldier in the future? What would be the leader in the future? The leader in the future is a leader that would be capable to adapt the right prompt to avoid any ambiguity in the response, but also being able to analyze the response and to say, okay, now maybe I'm going to look for another kind of response. And I will even ask the AI to aggregate the 10 response that I have to give me another kind of response, and still making the critical the critical comment of the AI. But the problem is, how much time do I have? The question that, well, the great example that I think is given in this domain is with the Cuba crisis. If John Kennedy has asked an AI to tell what is the best decision to take in this crisis, what would have been the response? What would have been the question that was prompted for the AI? Because if you say, what is the most performance? What is it? Yes, just you push the red button. It will be the great result, because the threat disappear. No, it's really the thing is maybe today is how we can ask this kind of AI, how we can say you analyze the consequence of each option. This is the thing. So training. So it means that contrary of what we think, human is not going to disappear in front of AI, because human is going to be the key to be able to have the best of AI.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll move on to the next question. So, through structures like the AID 2018 and France's 1.5 billion euro AI investment up to 2022, France has increasingly engaged in civilian innovation in defense. So, could you highlight specific case studies like Artemis.ia or Astrid projects, where civilian military synergy enhances AI-driven intelligence or operational capabilities?
Well, I would say it's quite new, but we have indeed integrated civilian companies in our field. I would say we have integrated Mistral AI, we have integrated Dataiku, we have integrated Helsing, and it's I would say it's. First to help to understand how we can work with AI, but also to develop our systems, and Helsing, for example, is much more about targeting to be able to gain in precision in targeting by using all this information given by the sensors. Astrid, I don't remember exactly for now. Sorry about that. It's what I know is the project on AI counter drone attacks, but I don't remember its
I think
name.
we can move on to the next one because we don't have
Yes.
time. Yes. So the next question is related to AI and geopolitics. So with the rise
Yes.
of AI politics, how is France leveraging its leadership in multilateral forums like the Global Partnership on AI or the UN group of governmental experts to shape a balanced global AI security architecture? And could France's model be a viable bridge between technologically advanced power and developing nations like ourselves, Nepal, seeking capacity building without dependency?
Oh, so this is a question of first, just let me know. Let me come back to Astrid because I was focused on AI system, but Astrid is not an AI system. Astrid is a funding for innovation. Is one of the funding. It's it can fund AI, but it's also can dedicate it to other project in innovation. And sorry about that. I was blank for a while. So about the question of the global partnership for defense, is that what you're oh no, there is a global partnership. So this is civilian. I think it's nationwide partnership. I have not very much ideas how we participate into this. What I can tell you is that we participate in a partnership for defense, AI partnership for defense that was launched in 2019 by the US, and we were one of the first partners to be implicated in this. And it's a forum for us where we discussed about how we can build responsible AI, how we can share AI experience, and how we can exchange experience in our use case. So, but it's independent to NATO. It's a US-led initiative. I don't think Nepal is part of it, but there are other countries that are non-NATO that are part of it, like Japan, Singapore, that are, and it's really interesting, but it's much more a forum of discussion and exchange. So about sovereignty, I think this is one also of a very big questions that we have, especially not only at the French level, but also at the European level. It's it is raised by the fact that first we don't have European or French hardware and software development, so we are dependent, especially on American software and hardware. And second is that we are also dependent on the GAFAM, Google, Amazon, all these big tech companies to provide the platform, to provide systems, to provide data. So this raises the question of sovereignty. Especially we have seen our vulnerability. For example, when we had the COVID pandemic. But also we see the vulnerability in the protection of our data, in the use of our technology. So I think the key is to control the entire value chain so that in the event of an ecosystem closure, we are still able to produce what we need. So it is clear that the technological landscape is dominated by the American giants. And the American budget is 10 times greater than the budget in Europe for that. So we need to take account of this landscape and to reach objectives that could be feasible, like how we can control system architectures, maintain decision-making power in our hand, build resilience, and ensure the full command of encryption processes. The rise of open weight AI, sharing model weights, and the open source community give us the capacity to build some models without being critically dependent on one actor or one external actor. So this is a good thing. But I think in terms of sovereignty, you have kind of layers when you are completely dependent. And even when you're talking about semiconductor components or semiconductors themselves availability, we are completely dependent from I would say even outside Europe. So even if there is a Netherlands industry that helped to build semiconductor, but still. But when it comes to the system themselves, we can, I would say, reach a kind of sovereignty, even if we lose in productivity, because it takes more time. We are struggling more for that, but at least at the end, we are the owner of our technology. And it has been France's policy from the beginning, and especially with the nuclear deterrence. So AI, it's the same. We try to have the most independent system that we can control from the beginning of the chain to the end of the chain. Well, that's our policy.
Thank you, ma'am. I think we've come to the end of our session now, and we had lots of questions. It would be great if we had more time to address it, but maybe it can be for some other day. So I would like to thank you very much for your time and agreeing to speak with us here today. And I would also like to thank all the participants for showing up, listening to the talk, and also keeping their very insightful questions. And I think I will end it here for today. Thank you, ma'am, once again. So I wish you a good day ahead.
Thank you very much. I hope that I have answered most of your questions, at least.
Yes, ma'am, very much. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you very much. Bye-bye. Thank you for all the guests to be here.